There we go. We are live with the CSL
So,
Lottery.
hold on. It's still saying off air for me.
It should come through in a minute. It says live on mine, so we are recording now.
Okay. There we are.
Okay, so a few hiccups,
Okay.
but we're here. Yeah, we're live lottery for the CSL. I'm joined by Dennis, who is the controller, the broadcaster of the wonderful DDS screen that we see up on here, and we're also joined by Tim, LA Lakers
Hello.
GM. How's everything going, guys?
Going okay. Just waiting to see if I actually finally have fucking lottery luck or not.
Yeah, all good over here too. It just took us an hour to get it going, but finally.
That's the fun of it. That's the joy of it.
I don't know, not really.
So we're here. This is quite an interesting one, I think, for all three of us, really, because we all have a bit of a stake in this. So obviously, myself, Portland, small 6.5% chance of snagging that number one pick. Tim, with your LA pick, what's your percentage? I can't quite see it on the screen here at the moment.
9.7.
9.7.
9.7. Okay. And then Dennis, you've got a couple of picks, I think, as well, haven't you? What's your percentages we're looking at?
I have two actually. I have the what is it? I think 13th pick. I think so. No, 12th. Boston 0.9 and 1.7. So
Okay.
pretty small chance, but
You've got a small
maybe.
chance. If it's going to be any one of us three that are here on this one, it's probably going to likely to be Tim with the higher chance. We'll see. But so I think this one is a draft that pretty much, in terms of the top options, is we're looking at either Miami or Atlanta as the highest chances for this one. Obviously, they've had some disappointing seasons for different reasons and different. They've gone in a different way to get to the higher lottery odds, really, but both kind of hoping for their luck to change, I guess, for this. Tim, I guess for you, is it, you've had a bit of a disappointing season. It all kind of spiraled out from that free agency that never materialised. Is this sort of the hope of the renaissance of the LA Lakers for you? Is this kind of, you're hoping for this lottery to be the start of a new beginning over there?
Yeah, I'm really hoping it is. Hopefully we land into Simmons. If not, it's going to depend on where exactly we fall outside of number one, who else goes where. Um, there is a possibility that I may pick up a second first round pick via a trade, but that's going to be determined by when that pick gets there, what the board is looking like, etc. Hoping to get somebody decent with the second round pick because not many people did the scouting. So I think we're going to see some blown picks in the first round. Um, and then, obviously with our free agency money, hopefully we'll do something there. Like Gary Washington GM said, going to be a little bit difficult because New York playoff team will have the most cap of anyone, I think, and there's a few other teams who have caps. So it will be an interesting free agency to watch as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're here for the lottery. Shall we begin, Dennis, and see where everything falls?
Yeah, of course. Wait for the first pick. So hopefully we now see Brooklyn. Okay. So
Yep.
it's all good.
So as kind of
What do you
expected.
think about what do you think about Brooklyn's team? I mean, they're pretty good. They have two pretty late lottery picks, maybe two. Can they improve next year?
You would expect so. The draft's pretty deep, and even in the low lottery pick, you kind of would expect them to pick up someone who could make a contribution.
That's true. Definitely.
Yeah, looking at their team, it seems like they could use some help at the forward positions. I've never been high on Jake Lehman, even though I know other people are, and I know that. Oh, and Rondé Hollis Jefferson contributes nothing but defense. So, getting somebody more well-rounded in there may kind of help us as well. Looking at their roster also, it seems like they could really use an elite rebounder. Layman's their best overall rebounder. He's a 60. I'm sorry, I was looking at the wrong one. I was looking at Pet Centers. Miles Turner is a 64, 65 guy. He's their best one. Not a lot of good rebounding there. So, that could be something that they could look for. Like, this isn't a class that has a lot of good rebounders. It's mostly average, mediocre guys, but there's a few that stand out. Maybe one of those rebounders at the top falls to them. Maybe they overreach and overdraft a guy for his rebounding specialty.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's worth saying Brooklyn are one of the teams in the lottery that are probably in a better situation than some of these teams we're likely to discuss later on. I mean, they didn't have too bad a season. I mean, they won a fair amount of games, and they've got talent there. So I would expect, we'll see what the next pick brings and whether that jumps or not. But I would expect both of the players they will add through the lottery to make a contribution, really.
Okay, so let's check. Okay, so they both stay.
Yep. So back to back. Do you reckon that they'll try and trade up from there with those picks?
I don't think they should. Let's be honest. Between 2 and pick 20, nearly all players are on the same level. So Simmons, it doesn't make sense in my opinion to trade up.
Yeah, I agree with Dennis. The talent levels are so equal from the 2 to 20 range, really, that it's best just to stay pat where they are. Pick up 2 guys. Maybe a forward, maybe a big man. When you've got Arturas Gudaitis as one of your top backup big men, you've got problems. So.
Okay. Fair enough. I mean, yeah, we've talked about Brooklyn for a bit now, but I expect them to have a better season next year, even with the 2 picks they're going to make, and we'll see where they go from that. Should we have a look? See who's going to go in at number 12?
It will be Philadelphia. I know it. Okay, it's Boston. That's sorry.
So, as is at the moment, no changes.
Yeah, I think it's a good spot to draft, so I'm pretty fine with it.
Yeah.
Especially because I got it on top of getting rid of Levine. So, yeah, I won't complain.
So,
let's check.
So, what positions are you thinking of drafting? What kind of players are you maybe possibly thinking about, Dennis?
Honestly, I have some
Dennis
players
is
on mind.
going to play a guard at center. You watch.
No. I have definitely some players on mind. I won't mention now, of course, but I think we need a center desperately. Anderson is playing pretty well against Detroit. I think he's averaging somewhere north of 20 points per game, so he's pretty strong right now. But we need more scorers, so maybe we'll target a scoring big man. But we also need a younger point guard, as we have Conley, and that's it. So we have 2 positions in. We desperately need some young guys. So I think, we'll target those 2 positions.
I think for me, Boston's going to be interesting because you're going to have probably a fair bit of talent on that team next year. How do you balance all of the various minutes out to make it actually effective? You'll have quite a fair bit of talent, and obviously proven in the playoffs this year that you already have some good depth, but how you utilize all of that talent actually on the court will be a real challenge for you. I expect you to make a couple of trades before we get to the actual draft anyway.
Yeah, I think we will trade Conley, to be honest. But I don't know yet. Let's see. But honestly, we also have two decent bigs in Mickey and in Gordon, so we don't need desperately a big man. Maybe best player Wavell. We'll see. Okay, let's see if Philadelphia stays too. If they don't, we'll freak out. Okay, it's Philadelphia. All good. So, what do you think? Philadelphia is pretty inactive, I think. Can they improve from last season?
Well, it's like every single year we talk about how Philadelphia has so much talent and they always underachieve. I remember when they drafted Hortus and Slicer Cowan in the same draft, two older guys who were expected to,
Yeah, sure.
get them over the hump because they were well developed, etc. And that never panned out. So yeah, I haven't followed Philadelphia at all, so I literally don't even know what they have anymore outside of Jabari Parker.
Yeah, I
true.
mean, I
They
always
have
look at them.
Payne, Adrian. He's pretty decent.
Yeah. I mean, I always look at them and just question how on earth they are still a lottery team. With that, some of that talent. I mean, you look at. I mean, we could probably talk about the Knicks quite a lot throughout this off season, but I mean, if you look at the Knicks, you look at the talent level the Knicks have, and where they got to in the East, and you look at Philadelphia and their talent level, you kind of would expect Philadelphia to be above the Knicks and to be in that playoff hunt. And it's probably due down to a lack of, well, not a lack of, a bit of neglect from the general manager there, that they're still in lottery position, really.
Yeah, maybe. They have a decent team, so they could definitely be better. Okay, so let's move on because next up, Boston again. So very important pick. And damn it. Okay, so we have the 10th and the 12th pick. By the way, Detroit has a lottery pick? Ah, no, wait. Lol, the Detroit pick is fortified. The Charlotte one, I think. Yeah, it's a Charlotte one. Lol. So the next one, if it jumps,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter anyway. So let's check if Charlotte could have had luck. Okay, so I don't have the 12th and the 10th. I have the 9th and then the 11th pick. Okay, even better. I completely forgot about that.
So who has number 15? Do you remember offhand? Or
Who was the 8th seed in the West? Portland, right?
Portland.
Oh yeah.
Portland.
Who has the Portland pick? Do you have it? No.
No, I don't. I think that's with.
No idea where is it.
No, I'm not sure who that's with. I want to say Atlanta, but that's probably wrong.
Oh no! By the way, it's 4-5-2, right?
I think so. Yeah.
So who has? I think New York, right? But New York doesn't own its pick. It might be Miami. Oh no, Miami, really?
Yeah, because
What a disaster.
Miami has like 3 or 4 lottery picks.
No, they have 4.
Shit.
Great. The dude is tanking so hard. Unbelievable.
Pressure will be on him to draft well, though. And in Miami, I mean, if you have that type of season where you completely collapse it all in and just gamble on one set of lottery and one set of drafts, and you're expected to draft well, because if he doesn't draft well, then this could be a bit of a difficult situation for him in terms of coming up in the future. I mean, I think they've still got some picks coming up in later years, but this is kind of the draft that we would expect them to make the biggest jump talent-wise.
I think Miami.
And I also think this is probably one of the best drafts to have multiple picks in, not like the TJ McConnell, Aaron White draft, which still pisses me off. So, if there's a class to have multiple lottery picks in, this is definitely the draft to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I think what we said though is that from sort of picks 2 to 20, the talent's pretty even. So it's about fit really for this one as well.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not just a case of collecting all the talent that's there, or the best player available. He's going to need to get the right balance as well, because it's all very similar. So we'll see how he does, see how it goes.
Yeah, but I think it's a good time to have picks, because we definitely need to get more talent into the league, as many of the stars are getting older and older. And so many guys busted, which I didn't expect, to be honest. So I think in the future he will have picks too, and it should be good classes. So yeah, I think Miami will be in good shape in like 2 years. So let's see. Who is it? Washington. So Gary. Oh, Gary
shit!
That's a drop.
Wow.
Yeah, right. Yes.
Only one place drop.
But it's always the 8th or the 7th pick which jumps.
So
Always.
Washington's
Damn it!
I actually I'm quite happy there. I'm quite happy there. I think Gary needed a little bit of luck. I think
he needs it desperately. Honestly, it's like it just Gary, please, if you listen, don't trade the star you brought. Okay, don't do another Middleton or something like that. Crazy dude. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Because they really need a superstar to, because they've got some solid, decent young pieces, but nobody who can carry the team. And now being in the top 3, even though 2 to 20 are fairly equal, they can do that. They can select the best guy available at their slot and have somebody to actually build around.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, they desperately need that
Good fit for Washington. I think they have decent starting 5, but nothing really great, to be honest.
I mean, it depends on where it drops to who I think they should pick up. Let me have a quick look. I'm just going to see if I can find the player I'm thinking of. But I mean, for me, I think I would like to see them perhaps get. I mean, if I had to pick, I would like to see like someone like possibly a Bender type of situation if they get in that top 3. I think he could fit quite nicely in Washington and be that star. It might take a little while for him to actually get to that level, but he's probably worth the gamble for them if they go in the top 3. I mean, what do you guys think? Is there anyone that sort of stands out that you think it should be in the Washington jersey?
Outside of Simmons? I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same thing. In terms of superstar quality, this draft really is Simmons, and then just everybody else is a good starter, not necessarily a true franchise player.
Yeah. My words. Okay, so let's go on. Next up, Portland, right? Yeah. So, pretty important pick for you, Chris. Any comments?
Huge pick. Let's hope for a jump.
Okay. Oh, sad story. Okay, so 7th overall pick. Still a pretty good trade, I would think. To get Smart 7th and Mirotic, right? For KD.
Yeah, and we obviously got the Chicago pick, which is a little bit later on in this draft as well. But
yeah, true.
Yeah, for us, I mean, I was hoping, deep down, hoping for a little bit of a jump that we could hopefully get someone in sort of, get into the range of Simmons. You never know, but I think I'm fairly happy with that position in the draft. I think there's a couple of players who would suit us very well, and I think that they will hopefully one of them will be available around the 7th pick.
Get yourself a center. Muradic at center is killing me.
Yeah, it was an experiment we decided to try towards the end of the season, just to give him a run of games there to see what he could do. I know his rebounding is atrocious for a centre, but I was just trying something, and we'll have a different strategy and different rotation next year that will hopefully use Mirotic in a better situation as a centre.
Mirotic is pretty good as centre, I think.
I think he can play minutes at centre. I just think we were playing him majority of his minutes at centre. So I think he's bit more versatile than what we were showing of him when we traded for him.
Would he be a Celtic player? He would play all his minutes at center, to be honest. Yeah. So, what do you want for? No, just joking. Okay. Next pick. It's Tim, right?
Yeah.
Tim.
Yep. Here we go. Dropping again.
Yeah, true. You already dropped. There you go.
No.
6.
Yeah.
Yep. Pick 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tim, your thoughts?
What now?
What are your thoughts on where you're going to be picking?
Fuck me running. It's same old shit, same old story, whatever. We'll see how the top 5 shakes out, and then just kind of go from there. I mean, we pretty much need help everywhere. I mean, there's literally not one guy on the entire fucking roster I would even consider a starter and an actual contender. That's how bad we are. We have a lot of decent bench players. That's it.
I like Napier, to be honest. I think he's a pretty good combo guard. And he could easily average like 50 points off the bench in only 26 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So next up is Golden State. So Jeff, with some more luck, will he be in the top 3 again, like all the past 4 years or so? Nope. 5th pick.
So when do you guys think?
Wait, I'm just thinking. Okay, all good. Doesn't matter.
So
Keep
when
going.
do you guys think Golden State will actually turn it around? Because I mean, obviously they've had some pretty good lottery luck over the past few years. Do you think this is the year that they finally get the team together and actually make a charge for the playoffs? Or do we think it's going to be situation as normal and back in lottery territory next year?
Honestly, the biggest problem is that they lost twice in the season, both times with broken legs. So dude is pretty much dead. I think he could have been a guy like E10 and 2, but now, he's in a worse situation than Randall is.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if also we're starting to see a repeat of a Philadelphia situation out there, where every year we look at this team and we're like, why are they not a competitive squad? Why do they keep hitting the lottery? Because they're far more talented on paper than the consistent low level of wins they keep producing each year. So,
yeah, honestly, the starting 5 is pretty good. If you like I said, Embiid has superstar potential. Then you have what's his name again? The Conley clone. Forgot his name.
Payne,
right? Payne is a very good player too. I love defense first point guard. And then you have Dunn, who could be a very good first option on the offensive end of the court. So,
yep.
Who else do they have? They have Crowder, right?
Crowder, yeah.
And Capella. I love Capella. He's a pretty good player, in my opinion. So their starting 5 is maybe the best young starting 5 in the league. No idea why they can't win any games.
Yeah, I think it's a conundrum. I think it's another situation where they have a lot of talent, but does it all mesh together? That's the question. Or is it just a young roster that's, we know draft day sports, it's going to, I've seen young squads on this where they have one absolutely terrible season. Next season they go and win 60 games. So is it a situation like that again? It's just going to be next year. One of these years, it's just all going to click and they'll just go flying. Or is it just a situation where just the balance of the team just doesn't fit at all, and it's a question of getting that right first?
Well, with DDS3 is everything possible, so I wouldn't rule it out, but I don't think they will turn it around in the next year or the over next year. Maybe afterwards, as soon as Dunn is ready to take over. And you really have to check out Embiid. If he goes down again, I think he will be almost injured, as it's how DDR3 works. So, yeah.
He's free agency, isn't he, this year as well? So do they want to gamble and pay him? Let's be honest, someone like the Knicks or something are going to throw money at him. Do they want to commit to that, knowing that he's had those injuries?
Yeah, true. We will see. Will be a pretty interesting offseason, to be honest. So, next pick should be Miami. I want to see everybody win the lottery but Atlanta. Okay, so yes!
Holy!
That is massive.
So Miami has 2 top 3 picks. That's not even better. So even Andrew could have won it. Would be fine. Okay.
Wow.
So what do you think?
Does that just ruin Atlanta for a long time now, knowing that they've lost Simmons basically?
Let's be honest. Atlanta would have had 1-1-1 tactics for the next 4 seasons until they have like enough talent to sacrifice everything for a superstar. So who cares? Another season of 1-1-1 tactics.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like Dennis said, they'll do what they did in Portland and tank until they get a superstar. I mean, that's pretty much it.
So do you reckon they'll keep that pick, or do they reckon they'll just try and get some more some value out of it for future drafts to try and get that superstar?
I think Andrew said at some point that he already traded the pick and got got a good haul back for it. No idea if it's true or not. But if it's true, whoever traded for it got pretty much fucked.
Yeah, pretty much. That's why you don't trade for those lottery picks before the lottery comes out. It's a bit of a punt.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
This is where we'll find out Washington's traded their pick to the Hawks.
In Gary's case, I can imagine everything.
So,
just kidding, Gary. Just kidding.
Top 3.
Okay.
So Miami get 2. Washington are going to get 1.
I now really want to see a Miami pick just to have that's at least somehow interesting. No.
No.
Miami have the top 2 picks.
Really? Son of a bitch.
Crazy.
So we have a Bender Simmons front court.
Yep.
Well, I don't know. I think with the way it played out, maybe they grab Simmons, maybe they grab Teodosic, and then with the 8th pick, then they grab another big man. I mean, the draft is set up perfectly for them to completely rebuild their starting 5 and be at the very least competitive in the absolutely shitty Southeast as early as next season.
If they have Teodosic and Simmons, they will easily fight for a playoff spot, in my opinion.
Yep, I agree.
Would you take Teodosic given his age though?
Yeah,
so you've got to think Miami, they're all going to be young. That's going to instantly shorten their possible playoff championship hopes instantly, because they'll always be looking over their shoulder about trying to find that next elite point guard that they'll need. Do they just go young here and just then try and snag someone else later on?
I wouldn't even be surprised if someone trades, I have no idea what, for the 2nd pick. I'm pretty sure there will be someone who's dumb enough.
Yep.
It'll be someone who hasn't scouted, who's only scouted top players, who will just not understand, not recognise that the actual depth of this draft and where everything kind of sits. And we know that's going to happen. I mean, Tim mentioned it earlier that a lot of teams haven't really scouted properly this season. So we are going to see some strange decisions, I think.
Like every off-season.
But I mean, we're talking about Miami here, and we'll talk about them in the next 2 picks when we select them in a minute.
Yeah,
but
so let's
Washington, let's talk about Washington. That's
Who's the second pick?
I mean, Washington. That's a huge bump for Gary. That's going to be a massive help for him. Regardless
think
of
so?
who goes 1 and 2.
I don't think so. Would he have been first pick or second pick? Maybe, but third overall. I think it doesn't matter if he's third overall or what would he have been? Eighth pick, I think. Same level. Talent. Who cares?
I don't know. I think if depending on what happens with the first and second pick, obviously, but I personally would like to see Washington pick up Bender because I think he is the only one that I've sort of seen so far that can have the potential to try and make that borderline star jump. The others that I know we talked about, the others in the sort of the 2 to 20 range, all very similar, but he's the only one that I've seen that if he's utilised properly, he could become a really good post player, and possibly be challenging not challenging Simmons, but challenging sort of the second best player in this class.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we've seen Bender's player type before repeatedly. That sort of weird ass hybrid combo forward, and it seems like a lot of times they just don't pan out relative to expectations. Um, look at Miritich. He was hyped up as being like the third best player in his class, and now his stock in the league perception of him is far down from what it was. And Bender very much gives off that vibe of someone who is going to be really hyped up coming in. A lot of people think he's going to be amazing, and then when we look at his career further on down the line, we'll think he's a solid, decent player, but nowhere near what the initial hype says.
Washington, yeah, okay, fair point. I mean, Washington is another one that I could see Teodosic going to as well. Is it Teodosic? I don't know how to say his name, but he's one that I could see going there despite his age, because he would make an instant impact on that team. I mean, they'd have to shuffle around a little bit of the roster, but
just traded for Cotton, so
yeah, I mean the reason I don't think they go Teodosic because unless they trade one of either that guy you just mentioned or unless they trade Cotton or Tyus Jones, that's a pick that really wouldn't make sense for them. So if it does go Simmons, Bender 1-2, then Washington is really kind of in a tough spot because the third best player in the class, who you could argue is the second best, doesn't fit them at all. It becomes a top 3 luxury pick, which you don't want to have in the top 3.
I don't think we can.
You know what would be funny?
Yeah.
If Miami just says fuck you all and I would draft Simmons at second.
Just to get his salary down.
It would be so hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. Miami. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, well, so overall, great draft for Miami or great lottery.
Terrible draft for Atlanta. Great draft for Washington. Everyone else same as, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much just, it is what it is. And it will be very interesting to see what happens, starting at pick 3. Pick 3, for sure, things will definitely get interesting. Possibly pick 2 if, or even pick 1, depending on what kind of fuckery Miami decides to engage in. Either way, I think this is going to be the most interesting draft to follow that we've ever had in the CSL.
Yeah, hopefully that was the intention when we created it. So yeah, we wanted a pretty deep draft. You don't know where the players will end up, so I'm really looking forward to it because it will be fun for the creators too to see where the guys are landing.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really interesting draft. I mean, like Tim said, from some sort of pick 3 downwards, it's going to be a mixed bag of who goes where. I think this is going to be one of the drafts where we see the greatest number of lottery picks not be the best player available, but actually just be the best fit or the best need available, which is rare to see in a sim league lottery anyway. You tend to see a clear order of best player after best player. So that could mix things up as well. Because I'm looking at this and I can see, I mean, we know, Dennis, Boston, you've got a few picks, Brooklyn got a few picks, and I can see quite a lot of these teams who have got the odd one pick just picking players based on actual needs this year.
Well, yeah, definitely. We will see.
I think you're interested. Go on, Dennis. What are you going to say?
Okay, yeah, I just want to say it will be pretty interesting for us too because of the later picks. I think I have no idea where they are exactly, but they might be in the early 20s. So, yeah, I think there's still some great talent left in the 20s. So every team who's a contender has a pick will have fun in the draft too. And yeah.
Yep, I agree. It's an incredibly deep class, and you can find potential starter talent even deep late in the first round this year. So that makes it exciting for the playoff teams, but it also will make it much more difficult for those teams who suck ass like us to into the playoff competition, because these later teams are going to, if nothing else, significantly boost their bench if they have their late first pick.
Yeah, that's true. But I definitely like it that you will suck next season, to be honest. So hopefully it's a top 5 pick or top 8 pick. That would be perfect for us.
Yeah, probably will be. Traditionally we've struck out in free agency, and of course we got fucked over by the lottery again. So not looking good for next season. But I also really don't give that much of a shit unless it ends up pick number 1, because we do have Minnesota's pick. So we'll be right. Yeah, we'll be right up there with you guys again next year, anyways. So yeah.
Okay.
Looking forward to next year's lottery.
I'm looking forward to this draft. I can't wait. So I think we'll sort of tidy it up there. I mean, we'll obviously post the order on the forum and let the comments and discussion begin. But before we sort of close off, just thank you, Dennis, for putting together the lottery screen, and thanks for joining us, Tim, to share your thoughts on the picks as they came in.
Yep, no problem.
We'll see each other.